Where to start off in the world of Final Fantasy VII. I'm going to give you guys information based on what games to kind of play in the timeline, so you can play them in order. Hopefully guys, you get some information based off this video, as well as what to watch. Yes, what to watch, because there is a few things to watch, I think, in this world. Final Fantasy VII is a big franchise, so there are several games, as well as what I found out. There are a few things to watch, I think, within the storyline, but hopefully, fingers crossed, in this timeline, you guys, I think, can walk away with some knowledge on where you want to start. So within this video, I'm going to give you guys some information based on the games within the storyline or the timeline of Final Fantasy VII. And at the end of the video, I'm going to give you guys my honest opinion, what game I think you guys should start off with within this kind of Final Fantasy VII storyline, all the way up to the end. And if you guys do want to, like, comment, and also subscribe. So in the world of Final Fantasy VII, we're going to start off with Final Fantasy VII Original. Final Fantasy VII Original was brought out in 1997, and this is going to cement your foundation with the storyline in Final Fantasy VII with Cloud, Tifa, Sephiroth, and also Barrett. So this gives you a lens of the starting point of what to play and what to start off with. To give you a little bit of information about this game is out on PC, PlayStation, Xbox, Switch, also mobile phone. This is out on the mobile phone as well, so you can play it anywhere you want. So you do not have an argument if you cannot play it. Also, only on the PC if you did want this, if you wanted the voice acting lines within the game, because this game is just reading the text. There is a mod called the Echo S7 mod. The Echo S7 mod does give you the voice acting inside the game, so if you just want to sit back, relax, and just listen, this is a perfect opportunity to play it for you on Final Fantasy VII, the original. So what we're going to do, we're going to put this at the beginning of our timeline, so you know at this point on our timeline where to start. So next we're going to come to the next part of the Final Fantasy VII timeline, which is going to be something that you can watch. Yes, you can watch, which is called Final Fantasy VII Advent Children. Advent Children was brought out in 2005, which I watched the thing when it first came out, which is fantastic. And then they brought out the Blu-ray complete, like, director's cut, which was in 2009, which they called Final Fantasy VII Advent Children Complete. This was 2009, and it gave you a moment of an additional 26 minutes of footage within the movie to watch. So if I'm going to put this in the timeline of the Final Fantasy VII to pretty much watch, I'm going to put it towards the other side, a little bit after Final Fantasy VII the original, because this is based 2 years after the original story of Final Fantasy VII. So if you're going to watch this movie, I would say play the game first and then watch the movie afterwards. But it is fantastic to watch, with all the scenes from Cloud. You've got Aerith, Tifa, and new bad guys. It's just great to watch. So this movie is really revolve around the main protagonist, which is Cloud. And there's a lot of references and a lot of information that it's going to go over your head that you're not necessarily going to get unless you've kind of played the game previously from this. But with the movie, once you have played the game, you will know all the references, all the hidden information from the movie. And it's such a great movie to watch. I'm going to say it's such a great movie. I'm going to keep this kind of simple. It's such a great movie to watch. But please, do play the games beforehand. We're moving over to the next part, which is going to be something that we can only recap, because this game is not running at all. It is not there, but it's still a big part of the storyline, which you can check in any kind of YouTube recap video. So this game is 6 years before Final Fantasy VII Original. Before the storyline thing of Cloud or any of the main protagonists that we know, this game's protagonist is revolved around the Turks. The Turks are pretty much going against a terrorist organization called Avalanche. Now, coming back to reality, I'm going to give you guys something that you can actually play and actually enjoy, opposed to something that you can't actually play. But I thought that was something that was very quite interesting with the kind of the trivia And it's something that kind of frazzled me because I do want to know how that kind of game kind of played. But what I did find out with Before Crisis, that it might be incorporated into the new mobile game that's currently on at the moment, which is called Ever Crisis. So we might get a little bit more of a story behind the Turks, and we'll carry on to the next part. Now moving on to something that I did enjoy when I was younger, which is Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core / Reunion. The reason why I say it as a /reunion, this game was brought out in 2007 on the PSP, which was just Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core. This follows the main protagonist, which is called Zack Fair, which is the storyline. I think it's 5 to 1 years before Final Fantasy VII Original. So it was a completely different lines of protagonist. This got a remastered and a remake, which is now called Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core Reunion. This was brought out in 2022. This was brought out on PC, PlayStation, Switch. You get the final gist of it. It was brought out on all platforms for you guys to play with. The main massive difference between Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core and Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core Reunion is the overhaul they did from the old game over to the new game. They kept lines of the cutscenes and also the storyline scenes, because there's not really much they can do because it was fantastic within the old game. But they've done a massive overhaul of the combat, the graphics, the gameplay. Absolutely fantastic. And if you ever do get the chance to play Crisis Core, which they normally do the Square Enix sales, do give it a go, either on lines of console or either PC. Now we've literally crossed that threshold into the modern kind of games. When it comes to Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core Reunion in 2022, we're now moving over to Final Fantasy VII Remake. Remake is a reimagined story from Final Fantasy VII Original, which still follows the story from the original into this. This is a remake of the kind of the game mechanics. It makes it into a lens of a real-time fighting aspect game with new graphics, new music. Just everything is an overhaul for the newer generations. Final Fantasy VII Remake was brought out on 2020. It's now on PlayStation, PC, Xbox, and also Switch, but not mobile phone. Which brings me to the next part, which is the second part of the Final Fantasy VII remakes, which is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Remake, I think, which was based in Midgard, which is like a town or city where you're kind of trapped in, and that's the only place you can kind of go. Rebirth, I think, is in the open world aspect, so you get to see the whole of the world of Final Fantasy VII and go to places with new combats, new music, and also new fighting system with a new abilities while going out on your journey for whatever kind of quest you want to go for and meeting new people. The new game to the franchise, which is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Rebirth was brought out in 2024 and is the second part, I think, to Final Fantasy VII Remake. When it comes to Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, the story does differ quite a bit more when it comes to that, so I do recommend playing the original to get the kind of the original storyline, post along lines of what happens towards the end of Rebirth. Now, I'm not necessarily going to spoil anything at all for you. That's the reason why I do recommend playing the original, so you can kind of get the general gist of the storyline, which I keep going through the video. But when it comes to the lens of the update combats, this is where the lens of Rebirth and also Remake and anything excel when it comes to the real-time combat. So next part of this video is something I can't really speak about because it hasn't been released yet, which is going to be Final Fantasy VII third part. This name could be a re-something, it could be a reimagine, revisited, reunion, which I don't think it's going to be that way, but this is a third part, so we don't know anything about it. This could be released out in 2027 or 2028, roughly about that kind of those years, but something that I can't really speak of because we have no information about it. Only thing that we can do about is have theories, and the main theory I'm going to think about is it's going to be a completely different story from what the original might be. And I'm not necessarily going to say this just to get you guys to play the original, but my theory is that it's gone from keeping to the storyline and then kind of branching out to a separate storyline. But yeah, again, that is just a theory of mine, and I'm thinking that's going to come out on PlayStation, Xbox, PC, and also Switch, but not to a mobile phone. Can't play that on a mobile phone. Now we're going to bring it back to one of the classics, which is going to be Dirge of Cerberus. Dirge of Cerberus is revolved around Vincent Valentine, which is one of the main protagonists in the original storyline. This game is exclusive to PlayStation 2. Yes, PlayStation 2, which is the older console, not PlayStation 4 or 5, which is PlayStation 2. This storyline, I think, is 3 years after the original and was brought out in 2006. And a lot of the characters that have been brought out in Remake and also Rebirth were originally brought out in Final Fantasy VII Dirge of Cerberus. Now, if you want to play this game and you have a PlayStation 2, I would recommend going down to your local cash converters to see if they have Dirge of Cerberus to play on the PlayStation 2. Or I'm hoping that Square Enix, will see this video. I hope not. I hope so. Square Enix, please bring out Dirge of Cerberus Remake, because it would be fantastic for everyone to kind of play and see all the characters that you brought out, I think, in Rebirth and also Remake in Dirge of Cerberus. And it was such a great game, I think, to focus around one of the main protagonists, which is going to be Vincent Valentine. Now, something I want to serve up to you guys, because this is something that was brought to my attention the last few months, and this is something that I have not watched. Now, I have recently watched, is Last Order. Last Order is a short film, retells the story of Final Fantasy Crisis Core, and was brought out in 2005. I would say along the lines of do watch it, but I would say play Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core first, because there's a lot of information within the game that you're going to miss out if you just watch the short film or short clip. So play Crisis Core first and then watch the Last Order clip. And it is 25 minutes long. So there is going to be a lot of information and things that you're going to miss by not playing Crisis Core. Now we're going to move over to the next game, which is called Ever Crisis. Ever Crisis was brought out in 2023, was brought out on mobile, and now is out on PC on Steam. So if you guys want to kind of play the game without playing on the mobile, this is now your chance of to pick it up for free on the Steam store. Ever Crisis does cover a lot of the story of Final Fantasy VII, which is ongoing, which is Crisis Core, Final Fantasy VII, The First Soldier, which we did kind of cover in today's video. Also, what's going to be planned, which is not necessarily for definite, which is going to be Before Crisis, Advent Children, and also Dirge of Cerberus. If they bring that over to Ever Crisis, I will be such a happy person to play it. But warning, this game is a gotcha game, so you have to roll to get the better weapons, to get the better armor, and also materia, opposed to any other Final Fantasy game where you can just level up your experience to get the better weapons and also level up your materia to be stronger. This one, you just roll for your weapons and also your materia to see if you can beat stronger monsters. So this is the part of the video where I recommend to you guys think on what Final Fantasy VII game to play first. Obviously, you can play it within the kind of the storyline first, which is Crisis Core, Reunion, and then next one's down. But this is where something I have gone through the information, and I am going to change it slightly. So this is where I'm going to say Final Fantasy VII Original is going to be the #1 on the list. If you do play along the lines of Crisis Core, you may get a few spoilers or major spoilers spoiling the original. This is why I would say Final Fantasy VII Original would be first, followed by Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core Reunion. Another thing I would say is it builds the mystery first of the actual game, and it answers the questions later on. So it builds the mystery in Final Fantasy VII Original, and then it does answer the questions on the later date in Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core. And that's where you don't want the answers to be answered too early, and then you get all jumbled up within the original and ruin the main massive spoilers. You don't want necessarily kind of spoil your experience for the first time. Then third and fourth would be Final Fantasy VII Remake and also Rebirth. Pretty much, I think, because you played the original, which is going to be #1, you're not necessarily going to spoil the storyline, I think, in Rebirth and also Remake. It's an alternative timeline, so it sticks with the storyline, but then you're not necessarily going to be getting different information of the newer remakes. Plus, you've gotten all the information, I think, from Final Fantasy VII Original and also Crisis Core. So it's not necessarily going to ruin anything if you're going to carry on by that point. And then when the third part comes out, which is going to be, let's say that's going to be number 5, I would say play that one, but that's not going to come out for another few years. Now it's entirely up to you if you want to watch the movie, which is Advent Children, which is 2 years after the original story of Final Fantasy VII. So you don't necessarily ruin it for yourself because you've gotten all the information from the original and also Crisis Core. And this is on the lens of the exact timeline of these 2 games, and it is a great movie to watch. So yeah, what more can I say? Now the next in the line would be Dirge of Cerberus. That's if you can get on the lens of a PlayStation 2 and the game, or if Square Enix makes a remake of Dirge of Cerberus with Vincent Valentine. This is something I would play next in the list. I think it's on the lens of 3 years after the main storyline of Final Fantasy VII Original. So that would be the next one to play if you can get your hands on it, or if Square Enix does a remake of this game. Now, if you want to play any more Final Fantasy games, then I do recommend Ever Crisis, which is going to be right at the end, which recaps the whole story of Final Fantasy VII. Now, if you do like this video and you have found it informative, do like, comment and subscribe on this video because it does help out the channel as well as this video a bit more. And what do you guys think? Does Long Lens of Crisis Core need to be first in the queue to play, or does the Final Fantasy VII original need to be first in the queue? Have I said Final Fantasy quite a lot in this video? I think I have. Do comments down below. And also thank you guys for being here, and hopefully have a lovely day.